Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go!
Athletes aren't built during the season, they're built here in the off season, where real progress happens. At the Den Sports Performance and Agility Center, they don't just train, they develop. For athletes ages 13 to 17, they offer team packages and individual group training with up to 5 weekly sessions of your choice of dryland or strength-focused work. Every program blends strength, agility, balance, mobility, speed, and recovery with a focus on durability that most programs overlook. Because showing up on game day means staying strong all season. Every session is coached by a certified speed and strength specialist and focused on long-term athletic success, not quick fixes. Flexible programming, real results. The Den Sports Performance and Agility Center is where serious athletes level up. Book your spot now at thedenyqr.ca. Talking to the highest paid offensive lineman in the CFL. Haven't seen you in a long time, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm holding it down here in Texas at the moment.
Yeah, well, I Canada's in a deep freeze. I don't know about Texas, but they said most of North America is kind of cold. My kid just got back from Vegas. He says it's cold. Is it cold there?
It is cold. We just it's literally just heating up today, but for the past maybe 3 days, it rained, froze, sleeted, froze, and then snowed on top of it, and it was a complete disaster, as you can imagine, in Dallas. But
yeah, no kidding. An Ontario kid would know how to drive, but I bet you a lot of people, they just stay home, right?
Well, they stay home, but the people who don't know how to drive go out and test, their driving skills, it seems like, when there's snow on the ground. So that's what you got to watch out for, really.
Is it weird for you to be back in the CFL? Maybe weird's not the right way to say it. How does it feel to be back in the Canadian Football League?
I get what you mean. It's something I didn't expect, but the more that I thought about it, the more I thought, if I don't do this, I'm going to regret not doing it, to round out a career, starting in the CFL more or less, NFL, and then back to the CFL. It just made the most sense. So I'm excited. It's maybe weird's not the right word, but that's the only word I can think of too, maybe because you put it in my head. But it's just, it's nice. It's a good feeling, to be able to come back, especially in Ontario. My family's from Ontario.
Yeah.
Signed with the team, 3-hour drive away. So it'll be nice to be back home.
That's right. Windsor guy, right? Am I right when I say that?
I'm a Windsor guy. Yeah, that's right.
Windsor guy. So let me ask you this. Like, you got to the NFL and you hung around a bunch of different teams. I guess for me, when I'm looking at your bio, you haven't played a lot of professional games. Do you know what I mean? Like, where it's like a full season. So was that kind of the enticing part because every kid wants to play. Do you know what I mean? You want to play.
Sure.
And the last time you were a real full-time guy in the CFL, you were the Riders Rookie of the Year and a dominant offensive lineman.
Right. My whole purpose for playing football from when I started playing football in grade 11 was I want to maximize my potential as an athlete. Mm-hmm. All these people they instilled confidence in me. They said I could go far. Mm-hmm. So being able to go to the NFL and, as you say, hang around for 6 years,
yep.
The average career is 1.7 years. So I made a career out of the NFL. Yep. And, it's gotten me places, gotten me far. Going back to the CFL, yeah, and not to your point, obviously you want to play. Mm-hmm. But I was playing every day in practice with some of the best D linemen that have ever played the game,
Yeah.
So, I really sharpened my tools in my toolbox, as they say in the offensive line room, and being able to go and round out a career in the CFL, that's exciting for me. And yeah, it's exciting to be the guy and be a full-time offensive lineman starter and all that, but you can't discount the experience of being in the NFL for 6 years. But going in the CFL, like I said, I'm excited. I think I have a lot to offer the room and the team. So I'm looking forward to that.
So, hey, don't take that the wrong way. Like, I didn't mean to say hang around like you're a scrub. Like, listen, if you get into the NFL and if you, quote unquote, can hang around for 6 years, like you said, you're an elite athlete. But it is a tough nut to crack there. What did your NFL experience teach you? There's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs. You're playing 1 week, the next week you're on a practice roster, you get waived, you go to another team. What did all that teach you?
It was 6 years of lessons. I took something from everywhere that I was and brought it with me to the next team, and ultimately, I think that was my value in the NFL was experience, which is weird to say because I'm not playing in the games, but it's a job. It is a full-time job being on a practice squad. And I really took responsibility and onus to like prepare the defense, and I think I earned respect. That's how I've always played. If you watch the 2019 film, look at
Yep.
this dust falling right in front of my face.
See
I
that?
don't know where that went.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We're dusting you off, Dakota. We're dusting you off. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, right. But that totally derailed my
Well,
whole thing.
you were
But
talking about the things that you learned there,
yeah,
and
so it's all.
preparing
I
the
mean,
defense.
playing against like I said, elite players, I really took onus and responsibility to prepare those guys. And like I was saying in 2019, you watch that film. That's how I practice. I practice how I play, and I think I earned a lot of respect of those D linemen, in the NFL. So, and
Hmm.
that was always my goal. We're not going to like each other when we're playing, but when
Yeah,
you know when the practice is over and we're in the locker room, we're buddies and
yeah.
earn respect that way. So
What was it
there's a
like
lot of
going up?
lessons, man.
What was it like going up against like a Micah Parsons and some of these guys you went up against in practice?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like having a look from like a stand-up Micah Parsons is the best look that you could possibly get in the NFL. And when he turns it on, he's unstoppable, right?
Mm,
So, being able to have reps against him, against guys like Demarcus Lawrence and Linval Joseph. Like, I mean,
yeah.
these are like elite NFL, like household names. It's tough, man. Like, you really got to learn fast on how to play a player like that.
Hmm.
And in practice, like I would look at it as like making an in-game adjustment. Like I need to set a little more shallow. I need to get on them quick. Like you're working your craft at the same time. Like it's not like you're out there just you're looking at cards, but I'm looking at a card and I'm like, all right, this is just like this play for us. I'm calling this play in the huddle. You're running the scout team, and that's really what the coaches look at. How do you approach the work? And I took pride in how I approached the work. So
So are you a young 31, would you say? Like we talked about like not playing in as many games. Not saying
yeah,
practice isn't physical, but it's not like it was in maybe the 80s and 90s before you were born when you padded up all the
yeah,
time.
the
So
CPA keeps us safe. That's
yeah,
for sure.
and that's good. So would you say you're a young 31, meaning you got a lot of tread left on the tires,
I'm glad
Dakota?
you asked because we the whole family got these whoops, for the
Yeah.
for the off season for Christmas.
Yeah.
Uh, my whoop age is 27.
There you go.
I'm slowing my age down 1.5, 1.8 years a year. So I'm not,
Mm.
yeah, I feel young, man. I feel great. I really do. And everyone says this. I feel the best I've ever felt, when they're getting a little older. They're like, this is the best I've ever felt. But I never really believed them until I'm in that position. Up until this last training camp, I'd never had a soft tissue injury. I've never had a surgery. Like I do a lot of, um, it's not prehab, but just supplemental work just to keep like I'm doing a martial arts. I'm doing
Mhm.
uh, Pilates. I'm doing yoga. Like I try to stay on top of it because again, like it's how you approach the game. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, your body is your biggest asset. So I've invested a lot of time and energy just to keep staying healthy. So
Yeah.
I'm prepared, dude. I feel young. I feel
I'm
young.
looking I'm
I
looking
am young.
for I'm looking forward to watching you play. You are young. 31's not old at all.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, what's the best piece of advice you got from somebody in the NFL, and who was it off the top of your head?
Man, right off the bat, the first name that comes to mind is Zach Martin.
Hmm.
Perennial Hall of Famer, right guard for the Dallas. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't write out a better career than this guy has had. And the way that he prepares as a pro, he's just the ultimate. He's the ultimate professional, and we're very similar in body type, height, weight, and everything. So being able to be behind him and watch how he prepares and how he plays, he leads by example. and he doesn't want to overstep. He doesn't want to tell you too much to mess with your game because he understands, you give the guy too much pointers, you're going to mess with his game at the end of the day. But just the way that he operates, man, it's the best teacher that you could have. And, guys like that, pros like Tyron Smith and, Mike McGlinchey early in my career in San Francisco, and then going to the Colts and being around, Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly. I mentioned a lot of Notre Dame guys. I've slowly become a Notre Dame fan since I've been in the NFL because every guy that I've met, from that school, coached by Harry Hested, they just do it the right way. So there's a handful of guys that I've looked to and become friends with off the field too, which has been really cool.
Won't tie you up for too much longer, Dakota. I appreciate you taking time. Hey, so how will you be a better offensive lineman than the guy I covered as a Rough Rider sideline reporter in 2019 when you were the team's Rookie of the Year? How are you going to be better or different, do you think?
When I was in Sask, I was learning football. I'd really at UBC, I was bigger and stronger than everyone else and didn't really need to understand the game at an in-depth level. And I think, being able to go play professional football in the CFL, in 2019, early in my career, it really taught me the speed of the game and how much actually goes into it off the field, in the offensive line room, film room, the notes you take make or break how you play at the end of the day, your preparation. So, I have a lot of years of preparing under my belt, and I think just an understanding of the offense as well as the defense. Like when you're playing center, having an understanding of defensive structure and how guys are, the look they're giving you and how they're moving and demeanor and things like that. Like you pick up a lot of that. And it's crucial to, running an offense. Like, you need to be on the same page as the quarterback. And that's what the quarterback's really looking at, right? Like safeties and linebacker demeanor and, what's the situation and knowing your personnel. Like there's so much. So, I think overall it's just experience, like just being around the game at a high level and, again, learning, like always be learning. When you stop learning, you think you know everything. That's when you're going to, start trending down, You got to be a student of the game. And I think that's what I've committed myself to being these past 6 years. And I think bringing that to the Argos is going to be, hopefully a value add. And, hopefully the guys can, they can lean on me for, wisdom or knowledge or advice. Like I'm really looking to be that guy for everyone because that's what really ultimately made me successful in the league. Like I said, all these guys that brought me with them and kind of took me under their wing, like that meant a lot to me and my development. So
I like that. I like that paid forward attitude. Okay, so Dakota, you haven't played a yard off the ball for 6 years. Okay, so it won't take long to re-jog the memory. But is it harder a yard off or mano a mano right at the line of scrimmage?
It's different. It's different because, I had an offensive line coach tell me once that your biggest enemy is space and time. And that was Dan Durazio. Rest in peace.
Yeah, one of the greatest.
He was a great coach, and he coached me at the East-West Bowl. And he said, your biggest enemy is an offensive lineman in space and time. And right when he said that, it clicked. And in the NFL, there's no space and the time is now. So it's just a different approach to, like today we were run blocking today in the gym and, I'm training with a bunch of NFL guys, but then they're moving him a yard off the ball for me to just get a better fit and and that was my first time, trying to take a set on a guy that was a yard off the ball. And, I had to remind myself space and time, like be a little bit more patient, but, at the end of the day, urgency is key, play with intent. So it's just different, man. It's not like it's harder or easier. It's all technique. That's offensive line play to its core is technique. Yeah. It's a martial art at the end of the day. You know, and the more the better you'll be. So I'm looking forward to, making those adjustments and playing the Canadian game again. Because at the end, it is different. It's a different game, overall, with all the rules and everything. So
it's cool. Exciting. My son, you mentioned martial arts. My son went to Vegas to watch the last Fight Like Gaethje,
Oh,
and
awesome.
he said, Dad, I want to be an MMA guy, but I think I might be too late after football. But he said, I said, well, why? The one guy from Dallas tried it. Greg, was it Greg Hardy or whatever? He tried it.
Yes.
He
Yes.
didn't do very well, but he said, I'd like to try that. Would you like to be an MMA guy after football's done?
Yeah, I've definitely thought of it. First of all, it's not too late for your son. I don't know if you should tell him this or not, if you'll see this, but there was a guy, he played fullback at the 49ers in 2020 and
Yeah.
then played in 2021 and then was done, completely flipped to MMA. And he actually fought in the prelims at that fight, only on the thumbs
Okay.
up. He
Yep.
fought in the prelims on that
Yep.
fight that your
Yep.
your son went to and won. He's 8-0 right now. Like, he's
Yeah.
a stud. So it's not too late for him. But for
Okay.
me, my wife, she'd kill me. I think I've been doing jujitsu now. I feel like every off season I
Mhm.
do a different martial art, boxing,
Yep.
kickboxing, kung
Yep.
fu. Like I'm doing all this stuff, right?
Yep.
And this year I started doing jujitsu, and that's really the most transferable one to UFC, right?
Hmm.
And she keeps kind of looking at me like, you're not going to get more serious. This isn't the thing that you're going to start doing after you're done, right? So I don't think, my mom too. Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. But
Not
I
gonna happen.
definitely am a fan. Like, you know, if the circumstance was different, maybe I would. If I had a little more.
I don't want him to do it either. I actually told him, I said, Ethan, because I went to Turkey and got a little bit of cosmetic stuff,
Yeah,
including my nose fix because I did amateur box a bit and my
yeah,
nose was, and I said,
yeah.
Ethan, I can't imagine these guys just like 2 months later after their nose just got smushed, going back out there and fighting again. So I don't know necessarily as a dad, you're a
Oh
man,
yeah.
but I don't know that I want you to be doing that.
You gotta have some screws loose too. Be
Oh, come
putting
on,
kids.
bro. You got to have screws loose to be a football player too. Come on. You got to
Yeah,
have a bit of
I think that's a different screw that's loose to be able to want to play O line versus just get punched in the face and get your arm snapped off or whatever.
Hey,
So
hey, now I hope I remember this correctly. This was 7 years ago. I interviewed you on the field, and I was cool because I was also the rock and roll morning show guy.
yeah,
Are you into playing guitar? Was it guitar you were into? Were you into
it's
that?
a good guess given the backdrop here, but
Yeah, I didn't
I'm a
really pay
drummer.
attention. You're
I'm a drummer actually. It's just
drummer. Okay, yeah,
yeah,
I couldn't
drummer
remember what
first.
it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
drummer
yeah,
first, and then my dad's a guitar player, so I just picked up guitar. They're around the house. I was
yeah,
bound to learn guitar, so it's a
yeah.
little easier just to pick up a guitar than set up an entire kit and
You in
dedicate
a
a whole.
band? You in a
I was
band?
in a band. I'm not in a band anymore. I was in a band in high school before I went
Okay,
to UBC. Those guys are still in a band too,
really?
actually. And they're called Hutch. You
Hutch.
should look them up. They're a cool little
Okay,
rock band. They're good,
okay.
good Canadian rock.
Canadian. Who's your
That's my
favorite
band.
Canadian rock? Who's your favorite Canadian rock band?
I mean, the hip, obviously.
Yeah,
It's like hip first, just because
yeah,
obviously, it's the obvious answer. I was a big Rush fan growing up. I saw Neil Peart and Rush play before
yeah.
he
He passed
passed.
away. Yeah,
Um, but man, I don't know. I do this thing all the time where, I've been in America so long, people start talking smack about Canada.
yeah,
It's basically the first thing. It's their conversation starter, right?
yeah,
And they're talking smack about it. But then I just start naming off all of I feel like the top of every genre of music is a Canadian. Like I had to go through Celine Dion, Drake, Justin Bieber,
yeah,
Nickelback, who's like the
yeah,
number one band in the world.
yeah,
Rush.
yeah,
Keep Sum 41, Avril Lavigne. Like at one point, they were like the pinnacle of
yeah,
the genre, and I'm like, we're a factory at the end of the day. So
yeah.
I'm a
That
fan of
is
all Canadian music
that's
because
that's awesome, bro. I knew I remember. I couldn't remember. I'm like, was he a drummer? Was he a guitar player? Okay, now
oh,
I went through Wikipedia, and that could be lying. But were you in a couple of movies? Is that correct, or am I, or is that wrong?
yeah, I was in, I always say if you live in Vancouver long enough, you're bound to end up in a movie, whether you know
Yeah,
it or not.
yeah,
They're always filming stuff on campus at UBC and in the city. And yeah, my first thing I did was I was an extra, a football player in a Hallmark movie called Love on the Sideline. And that was just random. But once you do something like that, like they take
yeah,
your height, weight, eye color, hair color, beard, whatever, and they just put it into a database. So after that, I was getting calls for other stuff. I was in like a Netflix movie. I was in Deadpool 2. and that's like that's the big one. You know, actually, if I can,
Yeah.
you know, boast a little bit. I'm the only. This is cool. I'm the only person to ever portray Omega Red in the Marvel Universe. So I'm like the only character in an MCU right now, which is cool.
That is
You know?
cool.
Yeah, it's
That
like
is cool.
I wasn't familiar with like comic books very much, like at least not X-Men. And I guess Omega Red is like Wolverine's arch nemesis in the
Yes.
comic books. And
Yeah.
I can't this little that right there is a first edition.
Yeah.
Here, let me grab it because it's
Oh,
worth
grab
it's
it. Grab it. Yeah, grab it, bro.
cool.
That
I
is
had to get a
cool.
couple of these because it was the first appearance of Omega Red.
Oh,
And
that
so
is
that's me.
that's
That's me
awesome, man.
fighting Wolverine. Yeah, kind of sick,
That,
right?
that is sick, man. Is that okay? So that's the last question. Where does
Yeah.
that rank for memorabilia you've saved? Like, have you swapped jerseys with anybody, or do you have any other cool stuff that you saved?
I got the jerseys on the floor right now because I haven't.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
I say, dude, I've always been like a kid that just had a bunch of stuff in my pockets. Like I've always had collected trinkets. Like I don't throw anything away. Like I have. It's funny because I just went through boxes yesterday. We're talking about rock bands. I have literally. Let me grab this.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
about a quarter of what I have, and like every piece of memorabilia, these are just ticket stubs and like picks that got
Good
thrown
card
into the.
Yeah.
Anyway, so for football, like I keep a football from every year because they're numbered and dated. You know, so it's got the team logo. I got freaking every lanyard credential I've ever gotten. Like I see a CFL lanyard right there. There's Cowboys. There's a Jets, NASCAR. Like I keep
I
stuff.
love it.
This is my office. Like I'm super eclectic, and so like I got, you know, memorabilia. So the coolest thing, man, I don't know, maybe my helmet back there.
Yeah.
Football related. It's just cool. They let me keep all my helmets. They're all upstairs. But
Let me grab two things.
like I was saying, you kind of got the same setup as me. It's a little eclectic.
It's in the other room. I'm not going to run it, but I got like my kids' game worn the Blue Bomber jerseys from. He
Awesome.
bought. You're the highest paid offensive lineman. My kid's on a rookie CFL deal, and
Yeah.
we always joke cash flow low. Okay, like CFL's cash flow low. So I said, he goes, Dad, should I buy my jerseys and my helmet? I said, yes, you should buy
Yeah,
your
keep
first helmet and buy your first jerseys because who gives a shit? Like who cares,
Yeah.
right? But I got a bunch of this stuff. Like this is a John Candy. When he
awesome.
owned the team, they handed that out last year at an Argos game, and my buddy went to watch my son's. It's actually funny story. That was my son's very first professional football game, and I couldn't get there because I couldn't get off work. I'm not joking.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
so they played in Toronto, and he got the shirt for me. So no, I love collecting that stuff too, man. I got all the old stuff.
And then I got my dad made this for me in 2019.
That is
Bobble-
cool.
I don't know if they made them or if he got it made, but he's like, look what I got.
That is unreal, man. Well, I'll tell you what, Dakota. I for one am happy that you're back in the Canadian Football League. I did follow your career south of the border, and of course, I was a big fan when you were on the Rough Rider. So continued success in the CFL with the Argos as they try to get back to championship ground. Thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Good to talk to you.